Hello, guys. It's good to see you again. I have to apologize for a few things. One, I know I did not have a video last time, like last week, and another is for this. So, this is probably what you guys that were here for last time remember seeing last. Me just showing you the ends of our final draft. And this is where we're starting this week. So, funny story, but my hard drive got corrupted. And basically, we have a missing link video now. This is the next stage of development. This is the last one I could salvage. I'm sorry, guys. So, we could not see that transformation from where we left off to where we are now. What I'll do is I'll show you them just side by side right now. Okay, guys, here they are side by side. And yes, as you see, there have been a lot of changes. Changes in the teeth, the eye socket, the detail in the skull itself, some of the spaces of light and dark. I will talk you through that as we go along in the video, and you will see some of these changes I have made from the footage I still had. But this is a kind of refinement and polishing I was referring to in the last videos of this series. And I hope you guys can see it clearly as we go on. So the image on the right is pretty much one of the final versions. There are other versions, which you guys will see as this series goes on. And this is where we are with it. I'm right now just copying it. As you saw from the last version, I've made a lot of improvements as far as detail goes to the skull itself. I really worked on making it round in the way that a skull should, and just adding a lot of details with the teeth, the spinal cord, and like the bones, the eye socket, the cheek kind of fleshy areas. And now really, the footage we have now is me trying to look at improving this afro, this hair that we have. Because we did show hair on the last one, and I drew it much like this. And really, I need to get to a place where now the level of detail I have in the hair matches the level of detail I have in the skull itself. Because just like you can tell the clear difference between the versions I showed you not too long ago, it's a difference in style. Like, this isn't supposed to look like an exact replica of an x-ray. But, I mean, we could have just used a photo of an x-ray if that was the intention. But we want them to match. And here, what I'm doing now in the background, I'm sorry because I feel like I want to really fill you guys in on some of what I lost in the corruption. But I also want to make sure we're focusing on what's going on. Is I am trying to get that kind of more rounded, more naturally curved hair that we would see in an afro. And I want more organic looking bumps and changes. And so now I've moved from just freehand drawing it. I'm using the pencil tool. I'm just trying to zoom out. As I said, it's good to zoom out to get some perspective on what you're doing. And I want it to match the transparency of everything else. It's not bad. I mean, it helps in general that now we have elevated the level of this design. And yeah, this is opinion based. I told you it was interesting because the person I did this for, they had saw the original and just liked it. Like a lot. Like the idea itself was cool, and it did have its own style going on. And you guys could tell me in the comments, like, what do you prefer? But I did want to just see how far we could take this. So now I'm looking for a visual reference. I basically tried out doing the afro myself for a while. I mean, I have afro hair, but I don't have a lot of experience drawing it, especially two-dimensionally. In this format, I've never tried an x-ray cover thing before. And, you know, we kind of want it to have body and form and look like we think it should look, even though we don't exactly know what it would look like. in this setting, because this is like a made up thing that we're doing as well. So I just found this picture of this woman, just a full bodied afro. And as you guys saw, that version that I showed you on the right, it had a much smaller one. There are multiple versions of this. Just like I said, tweaks. The one I showed you isn't necessarily the final choice, but I'm starting here. The first thing I started with is make a big, obvious afro. So I scrapped the last one and I'm making it a lot bigger. I want it a lot bigger because that's where we're going to start out. So here we are. We've got the much bigger afro size now. Much bigger than the first final draft we had looked at in the previous videos. And I really want it to be obvious that this is an afro. This is a big, fat, sticking out afro. And again, these are things that really make sense when you listen to the song itself. And this is why I really wanted to focus on that. So I'm just using my pencil tool, and I'm using my white selection tool, and I'm just tweaking it a little bit because I want to have options. Giving yourself options is a good idea. Right now on the actual skull, I have a big afro, and then I want to make a smaller one. I've kept this center circle like that goes right on the base of the skull because I still want to try and see how this looks by fitting it on, because I want to have the ability to have a really big version of this and a smaller medium version, because I need to think of other things involved. I mean, I want to look at overall aesthetic. I want to look at the space I have in general for this square canvas. I want to look at overall aesthetic and outcome. So here I'm switching it out. Is that better? I'm like weighing it up. And that's a good thing to keep in mind, because bigger isn't always better. We know that. We've heard that before. And this may be a case where that is true as well. It might be like, okay, we want there to be an afro, but yeah, you can have the massive 60s afros and you could have the pretty trimmed shorter ones. And I basically want to find out what works best for what we're trying to do. So I've just jumped ahead a little bit now, and I'm showing you the more intricate details of the afro. Now we have this shape. We kind of want these little coils, because really afro hair is just very curly hair. Like I have afro hair. I've straightened my hair, and when I straighten my hair, it's just straighter hair. And if you want to really represent afro hair, you have to show that there's going to be little ends and coils like curled up hair would look like. So it wouldn't make sense for just us to just end it with drawing that big old section and leaving it. So I am being pretty particular now, because this is the elevated version, guys. This is the refined version. In our first one, we just did the little bumps and we kind of went around. And now we really want those small details, which hopefully people can appreciate. So at first I'm just using my pencil tool, and literally I'm just drawing by hand with my mouth little coils and chunks. So here we kind of just went around that last one I just did the first time on the final draft. We just went around the whole head and did that. But really, if you're going to zoom in, there's going to be all these tiny little sections, and they're all not all going to look like just this kind of little mounds. They're all going to be in all different shapes and different directions. And that's really what we're trying to capture now. So I'm just doing this, and as you'll see, there's some that are going to look the same. Now, you don't need to do every single hair or strand pretty much as a new shape. That is unnecessary, I would say. But if you create enough variations, you can then start to use them and like copy and paste some of them. So what I've done now is I've still just created these different ones. As you can see, they're going in different directions, they're going in different ways. And right now I'm at the stage just trying to hand draw a few more. I want to hand draw just a few more different types to really make this variation. And guys, this is all preferential. Like, you guys might even be just looking at it from the very beginning of the video and be like, you liked the first one, and that's fine. It's really, you need to know what you're going for, what your client's going for. Here, I thought, okay, let me make just this hand-drawn coil. This was for two reasons. One was I was trying to see, can I make this easier and more efficient? And another was, can I get different waves and curls? I didn't just want these big bush-like mounds like you can see to the right and the one I'm drawing right now. I also wanted these coils and these flicks of hair, because even I could just look at my own hair and know its texture and know that's what happens if you were to go up close. And I wanted to be true to that, because we were like literally looking at a microscopic like scale, so to speak, by looking at an x-ray. And that's why these details are important. As you zoom out, you can see now there's just these little flicks and flourishes that are just adding to that. And hopefully you guys would agree, we're now getting to a stage where the hair is more matched to the design language and style of the skull now. The skull that now has teeth, and I've put more effort into looking at the light and dark spaces, etc., etc. So I do need to zoom in, and don't shy away from zooming in to get a better look. Just zoom out if you really do want to see how things are developing. So here we are, and I'm liking how it's going. I just want to still do some of these hand-drawn things. And at this point, guys, I was like, yeah, I'll just hand draw all of these and go all the way around and just really cover the whole circumference. There's nothing wrong with that either at all. I definitely, like, at some point took some and pasted it of my favorite kind of movements and motions, and that's fine as well. You just look at, like, for me, I think one of the best tips I could give you is, don't look at, you know, okay, do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? Just look at what needs to be done to get the best version of this. So we're just going to skip ahead a little bit and see where this goes. Because really from now, I'm just spending a lot of time trying to make the hair work. So I know we said we were going to skip forward, but I wanted you guys to see what I'm doing here. So I just noticed a bit of a gap under that wavy bridge, and I'm going and I'm filling in the gap with my pencil tool here. And I thought it important to just talk about this, because I know we lost a lot of the video, the missing link of the evolution between the final draft and here. And I wanted to really just talk about, again, the kind of things I did to make these changes. Me just grabbing that group of hair there and zooming it in, that was just those little touches of refinement. I noticed when I was zooming out, I couldn't see so much of the flicks and the details as we wanted. And I thought maybe I'm making these too small. I'm noticing gaps where there's spaces in between, where in real life, your hair doesn't have gaps like that. Or, well, usually it doesn't, unless you're trying to show balding areas or thinning hair, which we are not. So, I just wanted to say a lot of those refinements that you saw in the skull, in the teeth, in the eye sockets were just me looking at it and being like, okay, what are these tiny little details? What are these little things and refinements that would just elevate it in this way. And this is what I'm doing here. Making it bigger, making sure there's no unaccounted for gaps that wouldn't be there. Those are the kind of actions that had transformed that original final draft into what you saw earlier in this video and what we're working on now. So I just thought that important to remind you guys. These are the tiny little things you would need to do if you wanted to go from A to B in the way that we did here. We are here. We're at the end of the hair, guys, and we're actually at the end of this video. I am so sorry yet again that we missed that in-between transformation. I was searching everywhere for it from what I was able to salvage, and it's nowhere to be found. And that's why we're not gonna go into anything else. I really wanted to look at the details we could look at today. But next time we're gonna look at some of those final changes you might have noticed in the before and after, in the neck, in the facial features, in some of these color things and fonts and how we actually got there. But let's just look at the difference. So this is the hair we have now compared to the hair in the black box, which we had from the final draft. There is a stark difference, and you'll see, we're not going to necessarily stay this big in volume, but this is where we are. And I just like to thank you guys for joining me, and let's just keep exploring and creating.